Yes. Yes, it's true. The alleged life taker of the state reps in Minnesota was, and some might still say is, a Christian. And no, that does not indict the faith. I'll show you this video of this guy. So I don't like to say names of people like this, but this is such a murky case. Vince Boelter has an unbelievably interesting background, a general manager at 7-Eleven and a doctorate and a worldwide security consultant with the most bizarre bio. I'm just paraphrasing here, but he's been involved in security circumstances globally, security situations. So have you. If you've ever flown in an airplane in America, you've been involved in security situations. I mean, you've been through the security devices, right? You've been screened. You've been involved in the security circumstances. His bio also says he's been trained by members of the U.S. military. Has he? In what? Soccer? He and his wife apparently pre-planned all this. And yet they're not, or he's not being charged with the first-degree felony he could be charged with. But instead they're going to take it to second degree? As if it wasn't planned? So I'll say his name here because none of this stacks up to make any logical sense. But his sermon, the left is already using his sermon to say, there you go, there's your Christians. What would Jesus do? I'll show you this sermon in just a second, or at least part of it from our friends at protestia.com. And I use the phrase sermon very, very loosely because it seems awfully corrupt. He, in the political violence we're seeing, is a sign of massive, massive volatility. Now, in my judgment, so much of this is planned. So much of this is purposeful destabilization of our economy and our society and our culture and our homes and our families and our churches. It's part of the plan to break down the structure of America, therefore replace it with something more like the China model. Now, if you're 5 years from retirement, congratulations. You've chosen a great time to retire. If you're 10 or 15 years out, do you think it's any better? This level of volatility requires you to either be an expert at volatility, in my opinion, or to simply trust that buy and hold, they got you. That's good. Even though, if you're in buy and hold, in all likelihood, 40% of your investment dollars every single month are going to the same 7 companies without regard to their performance. So they're probably still treating stocks like Apple as a growth stock, even though it's right now trading at, I think last I looked, 30 times returns, but it's only growing at, 3%? Or is it 5? None of it makes any sense. So do this. Go to someone who will give you a free, no obligation consultation. He will actually give you 3 free meetings. The first one to determine if you like him and if he likes you, because you don't want to have someone you don't like stewarding your money. The second one to talk in detail about your retirement goals, your finances, the equity in your house, savings, income, etc. And the third, Zach Abraham and his team will come back and show you a plan on how they can minimize your risk, minimize costs, increase your gains, and do this all by actively managing every portfolio, which can reduce risk and volatility. Or, as has happened to a friend of mine's dad, the third phone call is when Zach and his team come along and go, don't change anything. Don't hire us. Don't change. You're set. Go retire. Live a great life. Here's how to take advantage of this free, no obligation consultation. Go to knowyourriskpodcast.com. That's K-N-O-W, knowyourriskpodcast.com, and simply register for the free, no obligation consultation and portfolio review. Knowyourriskpodcast.com. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 25-217. Trek 25-217. Here's the so-called sermon from Vince Boelter, or just Boelter, part of it.
And I'm just as excited about Jesus.
Et je suis juste excité
right
de
here,
Jésus.
right now.
Jusqu'à présent, même maintenant.
And when I get excited,
Et quand je suis excité,
I want to dance.
je veux danser.
And what Jesus did for me.
Ce que Jésus a fait pour moi.
Jesus is God.
Jésus est
Almighty
Dieu.
God.
C'est le Dieu
He
puissant.
saved my life.
Il a sauvé ma vie.
I'm excited about God.
Je suis excité de Dieu.
And I want to worship him.
Et c'est pourquoi je l'adore.
Because he's coming again. And he's
Il
excited.
revient encore.
And he's got plans. He's
Il
got
a
plans
de plans
and purposes
et le dessein
for each one of you
pour chacun de vous ici.
and for me.
Et pour moi aussi.
Okay, now putting aside just personal response to that, that does not seem like the Spirit to me, the Holy Spirit. It's just me. I mean, it seems contrived to me. But if you find yourself in a circumstance where you're one of the special people on stage not wearing a woke mask, but the entire rest of the audience is wearing a woke mask, you're on the wrong side. So there are people who are saying, of course he was a Christian. There are people saying, of course he was a Christian nationalist. And I know his politics are up for debate. I understand that. I know about the No Kings flyers. I know about the hit list. I know about the votes of these representatives. But I want to focus on people saying that this somehow indicts the Christian faith. No, it proves the need for the Christian faith. There are people who choose to pull the Christ card for hell insurance. Well, I say believe in Jesus. I got baptized. I can't go to hell because they done figured out how to put one over on God. Continue to be evil in their hearts. They get into the baptismal tank. They come out and they go, look at that. You think God does not know these things? You think that he cannot read that performance and go, you actually don't believe any of that. But more to the point, would you agree that on a pop music perspective or rock music perspective, the Beatles grew into great songwriters? And if not the Beatles, you could say the Who or Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones or the Beach Boys, that they grew into brilliant songwriters. From a classical music perspective, could you say that Dvorak and Beethoven, that they wrote brilliant symphonies? I mean, you can read them on paper. You can go download the sheet music, or if you like, the charts from the Beatles. You can go try to figure out what key the song Surf's Up is in, because music experts can't figure it out. And when Brian Wilson, the guy who wrote that for the Beach Boys, died, he kind of tried to explain it to people, but never got a satisfactory explanation. But when you listen to the song, if you have any soul at all to make you weep, so you read the charts, you read the sheet music, you do that with Dvorak, or you do that with Beethoven. It's brilliant music, beautifully written, beautifully scored. Does that change if you put it down in front of a really bad piano player who doesn't know how to play the notes, who can just pluck away at the key, cannot keep any form of tempo, cannot truly form the chords? Say if they're using a guitar, they end up dead strumming, or they end up twisting a string. Maybe they don't even know how to tune their instrument yet, so it's only kind of tuned. Does that mean that that sheet music is garbage? No. It means that the player doesn't know how to play it. Worse, have you ever seen someone pretend to play an instrument? Do you remember back in the day of air guitar? There used to be contests, and if you're too young, if you're below the age of 50, you probably don't remember air guitar contests. These were legitimate. There were clubs where you'd get up on stage and you just pretended to play guitar. And they would actually give you awards for pretending to play guitar. And I know there's a Guitar Hero and the video game things, and that can actually help people eventually learn how to play guitar. But does that mean that those people are great guitar players since they can swing their arms like Pete Townsend did or slide on their knees like Eddie Van Halen did? It does not. It's fakery. Vince Boelter at one point gave a sermon. He jumped up and down in a non-convincing way. Then, according to law enforcement, he and his wife went and committed a terrible act of evil that does not indict Jesus. It does not indict the faith. It is why we need the faith. Because apart from the Holy Spirit, we cannot be convicted. We can have a moral sense. We can have a philosophical sense of right and wrong. But the Holy Spirit has a unique ability living within us to create within us feelings of struggle, of wrestling, of reluctance, and ultimately to stop us from committing horrific sin. Because the indwelling of the Holy Spirit is the indwelling of the kingdom of heaven within us. The kingdom of heaven cannot stand sin. It cannot be comfortable around it. Therefore, When you give your life to Jesus Christ, you choose to be changed by him. You let the Holy Spirit reign. It is difficult for you to be around sin. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Doesn't mean that people don't slip. It doesn't mean that sometimes the flesh goes through a period of time where the flesh has fought the Spirit back. But overall, it means this. You're open to sanctification, which is to become more holy, like God. I don't think Vince Boelter ever truly knew the Lord, because he never got to the sanctification point, it seems, because one cannot go and do what he apparently went and did and have been sanctified. It's not an indictment of the faith. It's a statement as to why we need the faith in Jesus.